All right, so today we're diving into a topic that's basically required for anyone who's ever dreamed of that green card, the I-140 self-petition. It can seem pretty overwhelming at first glance, all those forms and regulations, but don't worry. Think of this deep dive as your cheat sheet, your shortcut to really understanding this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like that crucial first step.
Yeah.
You really have to nail it.
Exactly. So before we even get into the nitty-gritty, what exactly are we talking about when we say I-140? Help us understand why it's such a big deal.
You got it. So the I-140 is basically your ticket to the main event. It's not the whole green card process itself, but more like getting pre-approved, like when you're applying for a mortgage. Got to make sure you qualify before you even think about house hunting.
Ah, okay. So it's like getting the green light from the powers that be before
Yeah.
you make any big moves.
Precisely. And in this case, the big boss is USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. They're the ones calling the shots.
Right. So you're basically saying, hey, USCIS, I'm here, I'm awesome, and I deserve a shot at this green card.
You got it. And what we're focusing on today is the self-petition part. That means you're stepping up to bat based on your own achievements, not relying on an employer to sponsor you.
That's pretty gutsy when you think about it. It's like saying, hey, world, I got this. Now our sources break this self-petition process down into two main parts, the actual I-140 form and then the petition itself.
Exactly. The form is pretty straightforward, your basic info. The petition, though, that's where things get interesting. That's your chance to really make your case and demonstrate why you deserve that green card.
Okay, so it's more than just ticking boxes. You've got to wow them with your story. How does that work in practice? What makes a petition stand out from the crowd?
Imagine this. You've got a Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist applying. They probably don't need to spend pages explaining their impact. Their work already speaks volumes. But a gifted teacher who's transformed a community, they might need to showcase those achievements through compelling narratives and testimonials.
It's about tailoring your story to your unique journey.
Right.
You've got to highlight what makes you you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to do that effectively, you need a two-pronged approach. A compelling write-up that's like a persuasive essay and solid evidence to back it up.
Okay, so we're talking about presenting a case almost. Like you've got to convince a jury.
Exactly. You need both a strong argument and compelling exhibits.
So let's break those down. We've got the write-up, which needs to be persuasive, and then the evidence. What kind of evidence are we talking about here? Is it like my mom thinks I'm special kind of stuff?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Think more along the lines of recommendation letters from experts in your field who can vouch for your work. But it doesn't stop there. You'll want to gather any documentation that strengthens your claim certificates, awards, publications, if you're a researcher, patents, if you're an inventor. The more concrete evidence you provide, the stronger your case becomes.
So it's like building a fortress around your application brick by brick, making it impossible to ignore.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to actually filing this I-140, you have two main options, separately or concurrently.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the deal with concurrent filing?
So let's say you're already in the U.S. on a different visa, and your I-140 petition is looking good.
Like, thumbs up, you're on the right track.
Right. You still need to change your status for that other visa to permanent residency. Concurrent filing is like a bundle deal. If you qualify, you can package your I-140 with that change of status application, the I-485. Think of it as a streamlined approach.
So instead of waiting for each application to be processed one by one, you're hitting that fast forward button.
Yeah.
But like any shortcut, I'm guessing there are some rules.
You got it. Concurrent filing isn't for everyone. It depends on things like your nationality and which visa category you're applying under. We don't want you ending up in the wrong line. But if you DO qualify, it can save a lot of time and hassle down the road.
Concurrent filing sounds like a pretty sweet deal. After you tick all the boxes.
It definitely can be.
Yeah.
But speaking of ticking boxes, this whole process does involve a fair bit of waiting, doesn't it?
Ah, yes, the waiting game. It's practically a national sport when it comes to immigration.
Isn't it? And sadly, there's no way to predict exactly when your I-140 will get the green light. Processing times can vary depending on a whole bunch of factors, like which service center is handling your case and how many applications are in the pipeline.
So while we're all eagerly awaiting a crystal ball that tells us these things, what can folks do to stay organized and maybe even a little bit sane during that waiting period?
First things first, become best friends with your paperwork. Keep copies of absolutely everything. Trust me, you don't want to be scrambling for a crucial document if there are any hiccups along the way.
It's like my grandma always says, a place for everything and everything in its place, especially when it comes to immigration paperwork. Right?
Absolutely. Now, another thing that struck me while going through these sources is how important it is to approach this process from your unique perspective. There's no one-size-fits-all solution here. Each application is as unique as the person submitting it.
And we're not just talking about different professions here, right?
Yeah.
Even within the same field, two people could have completely different career trajectories.
Exactly. A tech genius who started a billion-dollar company straight out of their garage is going to have a very different story to tell than a researcher who's dedicated their life to uncovering the secrets of the human brain. That's why it's so crucial to resist the temptation to just copy-paste someone else's petition or rely on generic advice.
So it's not just about checking boxes, it's about understanding what boxes you need to check and how to best showcase your achievements.
You've got it. And that's where seeking guidance from someone who truly understands the intricacies of the I-140 process can be invaluable.
Like an immigration attorney who eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff.
Exactly. Think of them as your Sherpa guiding you through the Himalayas of immigration law. They've seen it all, they know the terrain, and they can help you navigate those treacherous paths and avoid any unnecessary detours.
So much better than trying to tackle Everest alone with just a compass and a dream. This has been incredibly insightful. So for anyone listening who might be feeling a little daunted by this whole I-140 process, what would you say are the biggest takeaways so far?
I think the main thing to remember is that while it can feel overwhelming, the I-140 self-petition is ultimately a process designed to recognize your exceptional abilities and contributions.
It's a way of saying, hey, you've got something special to offer, and we want to welcome that talent and ambition.
Precisely. And while the forms and regulations can seem a little intimidating at times, remember that behind it all is the potential for an incredible reward. The chance to pursue your dreams and build a life in the U.S.
And that's something worth striving for, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground here, but remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole world of information out there waiting to be explored.
It's like we've given our listeners a little taste test, and now they're ready for the main course.
Exactly.
So where should they go to really dig in and satisfy that hunger for more information?
Well, when it comes to something this important, I always say go straight to the source. And in this case, that means the official website of USCIS, www.uscis.gov.
Ah, yes, the holy grail of immigration info. But I have to admit, even I get a little lost in there sometimes. There's so much information. What should listeners focus on when they're exploring the USCIS website? Any pointers?
Yeah, it can definitely feel overwhelming. I'd say start by looking for the specific guidelines and instructions for the I-140 self-petition. They have sections for different visa categories, so you can really zero in on what's relevant to your situation.
So no need to try and read the entire immigration code in one go.
Exactly. Take it one step at a time, and don't be afraid to use that search bar. And remember, the USCIS website is constantly updated, so you're always getting the most current information.
It's like having a direct line to the experts. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are about to embark on this I-140 journey?
I'd say approach the process with a mix of preparation and positivity. It's going to require some effort, some attention to detail, but keep your eyes on the prize. Remember why you're doing this.
Because you've got dreams to chase, contributions to make a whole future you're excited to build.
Exactly. And while this deep dive might be over, your journey is just beginning. Embrace the challenge, and remember, with careful planning, a little perseverance, and maybe a bit of help from those in the know, you got this.
Beautifully said. It's been fantastic diving into this topic with you. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Keep those questions coming, and we'll keep exploring the world one fascinating topic at a time.
Thank you for listening to a podcast by greencardselfpetition.com. Visit greencardselfpetition.com for do-it-yourself packets. We aim to provide the collective experience of numerous applicants who have successfully self-petitioned for their green cards without employer sponsorship, in either the EB-1A, Extraordinary Ability, or EB-2, NIW National Interest Waiver categories. Our DIY packets are designed to assist you in your self-petition journey.